Hi, I'm Shana Lipner Grover from Sage Country Herbs, and I'm here with Mountain Rose Herbs looking at plants that you can easily grow in your garden, which gives you access to abundance. So let's check them out. So let's talk about this friend right here. And I say friend very purposeful because this is like friend to so many. This is another very popular member of the Lamiaceae family, the mint family. This is lemon balm. Its Latin name is Melissa officinalis. I love talking about when plants have a species name officinalis, and that is because that goes back in history to a time when in the 1700s, Carl Linnaeus, one of the first people that developed binomial nomenclature, which is the naming of natural things with two names to be able to separate them out from the difference between lemon balm and oregano, for instance. And when a plant has a species name of officinalis or officinal, what that means is that it was a recognized drug plant. So literally it was recognized by, remember back then in the 17 and 1800s, all doctors had to be botanists because this was the main medicine that was used. And so when something is called officinal, it was literally an official medicine. And while we may not look at things in that way in nowadays as much, the medicinal compounds of the plants have not changed. And those of us that are really into herbal medicine know that this is absolutely a fantastic herbal medicine. There are so many wonderful aspects about it. So, lemon balm, of course, is named lemon balm because it's not related to lemon in any way, but anybody who has ever squeezed a leaf, oh God, it's so good. It smells like you're getting like smacked in the face with like a lemon tree, or someone's like spraying you with like essential oil. Like it's so strong. I remember actually I smelled this plant before I ever met it. I was walking through a friend's garden and it was like, where's the lemon coming from? And it was this plant. It just rubbed up against my leg and it was so in my face. And they were like, oh, it's a lemon balm. And I went and did that to it and it was like, poof. It was so intense, and it makes you stop, you know? It makes you like, oh. Another really cool thing about that really strong scent is that our sense of smell is more deeply connected to our memories than any other of our senses. And so when you smell something that is reminiscent of like a good time or a nostalgic experience, it can just put you right back into that space. So I really appreciate lemon balm. The other aspect about that is that citrus type of aromatics are generally uplifting. And uplifting is something that, well, quite frankly, we all can use when we're dealing with stress in our lives. And that uplifting, sometimes people want to call it antidepressant because we've learned to use these types of words that we learn about from, our pharmaceutical drug culture. But ultimately, this plant is working on a very different level than your pharmaceutical antidepressant. So that's why we call it an uplifting herb. It's really wonderful for when you're feeling a little bit down, a little bit melancholy, maybe dealing with, a little bit of mild depression or some grief. Lemon balm is a wonderful, wonderful ally to help give us a hug, help raise our spirits, help to put us back into that heart-centered place where we can really be looking out at the world with some hope and optimism, which sometimes that can feel a little distant. And I feel like lemon balm, with its really that overwhelming scent, but also there's so many other reasons beyond just the scent. And that's actually another thing I want to talk about in relationship to lemon balm is that most people learn about it in relationship to the aromatics. If you're into essential oil, it is ridiculously expensive to buy Melissa essential oil because the aromatics of Melissa are very volatile, meaning they dissipate very quickly. You could spend, $80 on a small amount of some lemon balm essential oil and then leave the lid off accidentally and your $80 just dissipated and your house or your room smells lovely for a little while and then there goes your $80. So much better idea is actually to hang out next to the plant. It's a very easy plant to grow. It obviously likes to spread around because it is in the mint family. But beyond that essential oil, there's so much more going on with this plant. So I love being able to use lemon balm both as a functional medicine, but also as something that helps other medicines taste better. Because one of the big issues that I have found with herbal medicine when people are not as successful with it is not understanding how to formulate so that you will be consistent with a medicine. Taking something one time for an acute issue is not generally going to cut it. Taking something one time for a chronic issue is not generally going to cut it. So one of the tricks of working with herbs is creating that relationship with the herb where you can be working with it in general on a regular basis and having some consistency, whether it's having it in a tea that you drink every day or having a tincture or a glycerite that you are using on a regular basis. There are so many wonderful ways to use it, but to realize that being consistent, especially when it comes to any type of infection, that it is going to be the most beneficial when you are consistently using it on a regular basis through, and not just until the infection is over, but for a few days after the symptoms of the infection subside, so that you're really making sure you're keeping that immune system boosted and having that really direct effect on it. Of course, the other aspect that I use the most of is that uplifting effect. And one of my favorite things to talk about with lemon balm is how to use it to its benefit. It's both that uplifting effect, but also it kind of goes hand in hand with one of the other affinities that it has, and that is with the nervous system. Not only is this a calming herb that will help to calm down the nervous system, help you to be able to navigate through things that make you a little tense, but also that calming of the nervous system helps often with an overexcited immune system, helps to just overall calm everything down, helps with things like anxiety. So it's not just helping with things like depression, it's also at that other end of the spectrum where people are just too wound up and too overwhelmed. Lemon balm is a wonderful aspect to helping with anxiety, panic attacks, really anything that has to do with feeling ungrounded. When you can find a remedy that is hitting an issue on multiple avenues, having an effect on different systems that are all culminating into a overall net gain on whatever the issue is, that's just a wonderful thing. And then when you can learn to formulate it appropriately. I know that things like lavender are also really wonderful. St. John's wort, also really wonderful. Rose, and when you combine these, they're all now helping each other out. And that's also a beautiful thing. When we come together in community, we can get so much more done. Well, the same thing goes for plants. Of course, the uplifting aspect, rose and mimosa tree and lavender are also wonderful uplifting herbs as well. And really, we live in such a stressed out culture these days, but also in general, that I think having allies that are really easy to grow, that you can just go and sit next to and breathe in and have some joy on the day-to-day. One of the most important things that I have found in being an herbalist is recognizing that sitting next to a plant and acknowledging that it's a living thing is medicine, that you don't necessarily have to imbibe herbs. Of course, that's a wonderful way of working with them, but there's so many different ways of participating, and I say that very intentionally, that healing has to have a personal participation aspect, and recognizing that just taking the time to come and sit in your garden next to plants, that is you participating in your own healing. And now you're actually creating a relationship with a plant who is also participating in your healing. And what a beautiful relationship that can be.